Welcome to this special episode of Val Talks Pets. On this episode, I'm very excited to have return guest Danielle Forbes, co-founder and executive director of National Service Dogs. We've just marked Remembrance Day in Canada, and around the world, countries are honoring and remembering their veterans and military service members. With this commitment, many military members have left service with post-traumatic stress disorder, and others are still serving while managing this condition. As well, first responders are not immune, and members of the first responder community have also been diagnosed with PTSD. Danielle has joined me to walk us through how specially trained service dogs for PTSD have become vital to the well-being of many who live day-to-day managing their PTSD. As well, National Service Dogs has facility assistance dogs that incredibly work in many facilities to support staff and victims in many circumstances. These dogs are truly amazing, and you will be absolutely blown away with the incredible work these dogs do every day. Hi everyone, and welcome to Val Talks Pets, the forum for pet parents and enthusiasts alike. Having been in the pet industry for over 10 years now, I'm going to share with you issues and questions that arise as I work with pet parents on a day-to-day basis. I am not a veterinarian, but I do have certifications in canine, feline, small animal, fish and herptile, and avian health and nutrition from the University of California, Davis Extension. Hi, Danielle, and welcome back to Val Talks Pets.
Hi, Val. Great to be back. Thank you for all the great podcasts. I actually was listening to your Halloween cats podcast. I didn't know the history of cats. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
So what I thought, we have just marked Remembrance Day here in Canada on November 11th, and in recognition of those who serve in the military and also first responders who deal with so much, I thought it would be really great to have you on to talk about the National Service Dogs and your PTSD service dogs.
Yes, since 2011, National Service Dogs has provided dogs to veterans and first responders with post-traumatic stress disorder. And for our program, we've got a number of veterans who retired from their military service and went on to be members of the first responder community.
Oh.
So they've worn both hats.
Yeah.
So we service both, but the majority of our clients are veterans or veterans and first responders.
It started in 2011, but who came up with the idea that this would be something that the service dogs would be able to do?
Well, programs down in the United States actually had started to do dogs for veterans with post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2011, there were several programs that had been up and running for 2 or 3, 4 years, slowly gaining traction. And there was a lot of media coming out of the States around the dogs and how they were helping with nightmare interruption, with accessing community spaces and making folks feel more comfortable and less anxious in crowded, malls and Tim Hortons and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time in 2010, we were still doing exclusively our autism service dog program. But not all dogs are meant to be autism service dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And we were, some of the dogs, we had really good dogs, but just weren't right for our autism program. And we were releasing them to other agencies.
Oh.
And so we were looking, to be honest, at ways of getting a better return on investment for the dogs we were breeding and raising.
Ah.
And so we started looking into it, and we spent 2010 doing the research and gathering information from the programs that were doing it through Assistance Dogs International in the States, and looking at, what they were training the dogs to do, the type of temperament and behavior they needed out of the dogs to be successful with the veterans, and found out very quickly that it was a really good match for what we were already doing with autism. Because a lot of our children with autism, their behaviors are born out of their anxiety and their communication challenges and their and their social challenges,
Mm-hmm.
which are very similar to the PTSD side, but for different reasons, right? The
Mm-hmm.
triggers are different,
Mm-hmm.
but the outcome is the same. They have the anxiety, the social isolation, the communication challenges. Um, so some of the stuff we're already training our autism service dogs to do, that those skills could be transferred over on the PTSD side.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course, with post traumatic stress, we're dealing with adult handlers. So the
Right.
children with autism, right, they don't independently handle their dog for the most part. There's
Right.
a parent or, an EA at school that is in charge of the team and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the dog is doing what it needs to do. But of course, those dogs can't take advantage of nonverbal kids that don't have physical control over them.
Mm-hmm.
With our PTSD, the fellas are able-bodied and, well, fellas and ladies, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say that. We have a number of women that have come through our program as well. But they're able-bodied and they're able to verbally command the dogs. And so for dogs that, like I said, weren't a good fit for autism, they've turned out to be a really good fit for the PTSD program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got started. And we haven't looked back.
Wow.
So, in addition to all the anxiety and stress in reducing behaviors that the dogs can be trained to do, like the visits where they put the head in the lap
Yep.
and or nudges just to redirect them from negative behaviors or dissociative events and bringing them back to reality,
Mm-hmm.
to the overs where the dogs can put more of their body over top to give it more of a deep pressure anti-anxiety piece.
Okay.
For the PTSD dogs, we actually do a lot of nightmare interruption.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting. How does that work?
we gather up lots of data on the client. If they're having nightmares, are they violent?
Mm.
Do they are they not? Like, is there a lot of verbal involved, calling out and things like that, thrashing about? And then based on the feedback we get, we decide how best. If somebody is violently engaged with their night terrors,
Okay.
we don't necessarily want the dog jumping up on the bed and waking them up and getting inadvertently hit or
Hurt.
kicked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we train the dogs. We have these little clips that clip onto the blankets, and the dogs are trained to pull the blankets off the bed in
Oh,
those cases
wow.
to try and wake people up.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, we for folks where again it's not a physical manifestation in their nightmares. The dogs, coming up and either nudging them, licking their face, or getting up on the bed and waking them up
Mm-hmm.
is a really good option.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's some places in the States for their clients that are light sensitive. They can have the dogs turn a light switch on and off.
Oh, wow.
We've only trained one dog to do that
Uh-huh.
since we started doing PTSD dogs, but for the most part, it's the blanket pull or
Uh-huh.
the getting up and nudging or licking them
I see.
and waking them up. Yeah,
Wow. And so then what else do they do? You were saying that helping them with anxiety is that, and you said, and with communication, is that when they're dealing with others, and you were saying going out into the public, and
that's right.
what did they do?
So for the public space stuff, I mean, anxiety and whatnot is huge, especially if you don't know the people around you. Your personal space for our clients is much bigger than you or I.
Mm-hmm.
They need a lot more personal space. So we train the dogs on cue with direction from the handler to position themselves to create more personal space.
Okay.
So, if you're standing and somebody's walking up to you to start a conversation, you can have the dog come and sit in front of you or stand perpendicular to you in front of you and
Okay.
create more personal space in that bigger bubble.
Yep.
Or if you're in line, you can have the dog sit behind you
Okay.
to
Yes. Yes.
create that. So, before COVID,
Yeah.
it's not uncommon, especially in today's world, to be at Tim Hortons and have somebody on their phone and get right up into your personal space without
Absolutely.
even realizing it because they're not paying
Yeah,
attention.
absolutely.
So the dogs just create a bigger bubble
Mhm.
to allow them to manage whatever anxiety bubbles up as a result of being in that space.
Mhm.
But one of our clients, his thing when he got his dog several years ago, the first thing he wanted to do was to go to the movies with his teenage son. They'd never
Oh,
been because you know, going to an Avengers movie and sitting in a dark theater full of people was just
a
not
nightmare.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And the dog made it possible. The dog kept him in the present,
Mhm.
helped him self-regulate his anxiety,
Mhm.
and he was able to go through a movie and
That's
watch a
amazing.
movie with his family. Yeah.
I know what you mean here because so someone who was very close to me, a career soldier in the
Hmm.
Canadian military, went in at 17 years of age, went to just about every war zone there was that Canada was participating in, whether it was either in theater or in
Yep.
peacekeeping.
Yep.
And his PTSD didn't, came out, but um, was suffering in silence for quite some
Hmm.
time. And part of it was being going to events. So, where there's crowds, if you're going to some kind of, even if it was like the Royal Winter Fair or something like that, where there's lots of things to go look at and people everywhere and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And admitted later that he always felt that there was going to be some kind of a fight breakout around him.
Yeah.
I always felt that that was going to happen. So he, um,
Hmm.
if, exactly what you're saying about the people being too close, that was the issue.
And hypervigilance is a huge issue,
Yeah.
right? Because when you're coming out with I mean, some of the veterans that were when we first started in 2011 with the program, you were getting folks coming right out of Afghanistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't had troops over there for a while, but back when we first started the program, you're coming back from Afghanistan and you don't know who the threat is
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
everybody's a threat. You
Yeah.
can't tell who's got a bomb under their coat.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hypervigilance is debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
Your head's on a swivel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So clients did a lot of different strategies for managing the anxiety that builds being
Mm-hmm.
in that environment where you don't know who's who and who you can trust.
Right.
And some of our graduates, they would take their cues from the dog, right?
Hmm.
So if they were standing in a crowd and they were having trouble trying to keep things under control, they look at the dog and the dog's calm and relaxed. The
Ah.
dog is happy. The dog is not tense. The dog
Right.
is not showing fear. If they were sitting, they could put their hand on the dog. The dog's breathing is measured. It's calm and relaxed. Match their breathing to the dog's breathing.
Mm.
I'm okay. The
Right.
dog's okay. If something was really, really wrong, the dog would not be calm. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So they
Yeah.
could visually and physically, by putting their hands on the dog and just allowing the calm energy from the dog
Right.
to help them regulate their breathing and bring their own anxiety down. Um, and we talk about that when we're going through team training with them as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? Like, take your cues from your dog,
Mm.
and be able just to if there was a true danger and something was happening that was urgent,
Mm-hmm.
you would see a different reaction in the dog because they're gonna save themselves as well, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
That makes
yeah.
total
So
sense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Danger, danger. Yeah.
yeah, but and so yeah, it's been interesting. And we had one gentleman, one of the things that I wasn't prepared for when
Mm-hmm.
we started is, when we started in 2011, again, you think Afghanistan, maybe Bosnia and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, like
Yep.
those peacekeeping missions. But um, what I wasn't prepared for is the majority of our clients were over 55, which
Mm.
means they weren't in Afghanistan. Some of them were, but most of them
Mm-hmm.
weren't.
Right.
They were newly diagnosed with PTSD, having exited the military in the 60s and 70s.
Oh my gosh.
They were in their 60s
Yeah.
and retired.
Yeah.
And one gentleman, he's lovely, and he's told his story, so I can tell you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But Al, he was on the Kootenai, the ship that they had the fire, and he, he always just kind of post service went about his business, raising his family, paying his mortgage, and then his wife passed away, and he
Mm.
retired.
Mm-hmm.
And his PTSD floated to the top in his
Mm-hmm.
60s
Yeah.
because he'd not dealt with it
Yeah.
and for 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until he was on his own,
Yeah.
kids all moved out, having families of their own, and not working and nothing else to focus on.
Mm.
And so he was in his mid 60s when he
Wow.
got his dog Shadow from us.
Oh.
And he the week he was in his team training class was the anniversary of the Kootenai.
Really?
So we were very aware
Yeah.
of how that might trigger him,
Yeah.
and took steps to make sure it was okay. And then we got double whammy that week. It
Mm-hmm.
was the week that they had the shooting up in Ottawa, and Nathan
Oh.
Cirillo and his was killed and his partner injured.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that just flipped everything on its head.
Oh.
But the night all that happened,
Mm-hmm.
his daughter called us in a bit of a panic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't reach my dad, and I'm really worried about him with everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was out walking the dog at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
And yeah, he got back to his hotel room and just thought, you know what? Come on, buddy, we're going. I just need to clear my head.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, he never leaves the house after dark.
Oh gosh.
and and he's out there walking his dog, and he come in the next morning and he was so empowered. He's
Wow.
like, it was a really hard day. The
Mm-hmm.
two of us got through it together, and they
Oh.
never looked back.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you never know when those moments are going to come. For
Mm-hmm.
him, it came 3 days into his training.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
But that's sometimes how quickly and just how he stepped out of his comfort zone,
Yeah.
but the reward was huge.
Yeah.
And they went on to have to be a great partnership.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long does it take to actually train these dogs before they end up being with um with someone?
Well, it's 2 years. It's the
Oh, it's
same
two
as our
years. Same as the
autism.
regular autism dogs? Okay.
Yeah, it's so the dogs go through their puppy program
Mm-hmm.
training, and then they come in for 4 to 5, 6 months of advanced training, just
Mm-hmm.
depending,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're matched with clients. So the whole process is the dog's going out the door about 2 years of
Oh, I
age.
see. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So how many of you have been able to place in that program? I mean, it's 2011. I'm sure you've gone through many.
Uh, yeah, I think we're up to 40
Mm-hmm.
odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the early days, we were just doing one or two here as we got
Ah.
our feet under us.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't doing large numbers because the bulk of our clients, and the bulk of our waiting list continues to be autism, because we've tried
Mm.
to move
Mm-hmm.
through the
Mm-hmm.
backlog.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we average 5 to 8 PTSD dogs
Oh, okay.
these days a year.
Yeah.
COVID has kind of,
Yeah, I
again,
know.
set things back a
Yeah.
bit, but in the early days, we were just doing, the first in 2011, we just did one.
Mm-hmm.
2012, we did two.
Mm, okay.
And then we kind of built it up from there. And I mean, part of what we did when we started the PTSD program is we had to retrain our staff, right? We had to
Oh,
bring
yeah.
people up to speed on mental health.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is PTSD?
That's
How
right.
do we run our team training classes to support the hypervigilance, the anxiety, because some of these folks, unlike Al, who had been able to cope through most of his adult life, and then it hit him in retirement.
Yeah.
Others not so much, right?
Yeah.
They, we had folks coming back from Afghanistan and having trouble integrating
Yeah.
back into the community.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a veteran, Mr. Harry Watts. He was a World War II veteran who was a champion of our program, and he was just the loveliest man. And
Oh.
he said, when I went off to World War II,
Mhm.
um, I myself, my friends in high school, my cousins, my brothers, we all went together.
Mm.
We all left our hometown in the Niagara region. Collectively, we all went,
Mhm.
to Borden for our training
Mhm.
camp, and then
Mhm.
we deployed out together. And then
Yeah.
after the war, we deployed home together.
Together.
He said the military doesn't work that way anymore.
No.
Like you might sign up in Edmonton and end up in Petawawa
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
your training, but then when you're finished, you might get sent, you know, to Borden, and you're not with your peer group that you
Mhm.
started with.
Right.
So the built-in support system that we had for World War II
Mhm.
is not there for our troops coming back now,
Right. That makes so much
just
sense. Yeah.
because of the way the military is set up and how they move through the system.
Mhm.
So that I think is what makes the dogs. Most of our clients will say that's one of the things the dog gives them, that peer supporty kind
Right.
of role. So somebody's got my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the guy I can rely on to be there for me no matter what.
Mhm.
Um, because most of us can't relate to the service and what they've seen
Mhm.
through
Yep.
their service,
Mhm.
and it's and the dogs are just unconditional and constant,
Mhm.
right? They're a constant for
Mhm.
them. So yeah, and I think um, it's just a really nice mix for folks for whom it works, right? Because I mean, at the same time, it's not a good fit for everybody.
Mhm.
The dogs create or reestablish routines for folks.
Mhm.
Um, but you have to be willing to engage with that routine, right?
Yeah.
Like, um, so when we're working with folks, we want to make sure they're in a state of readiness to be able to engage with the process, with the training,
Mhm.
and to be able to maintain the dogs. Because if you're cycling into depression
Mm.
and sleeping 20 hours a day,
Oh yeah.
that dog is stuck there in that depression with you if you don't have a good circle of support.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy for the dog, and it's
No.
clearly not the right fit. So, it's taken us a while to get comfortable with making sure that, when we're screening people, we have a better understanding of what a state of readiness looks like to be successful with our dogs,
Yeah. I can see that because so you're saying basically sometimes it doesn't, it's not the right fit, but
or not the right
not the
timing.
right timing. So then they
Hmm.
have to go through, like, what do they have to go through in order to make sort of application for a PTSD dog? Like, what do they have to do?
Well, we've changed. Our wait list has been closed for the last couple of years. We're hoping to reopen it next year, once we get COVID backlog dealt with. But the we are lucky enough. We have a psychologist here in Canada. Her name's Christine. She created a prescriber guideline for
Okay.
doctors, and it
Mm.
it outlines how the PTSD dogs work and all the different factors that need to be taken into consideration
Mm-hmm.
when you are assessing somebody for a
Mm-hmm.
good fit and the good timing for a dog. And so our process moving forward will be that their mental health professional will have to review that and go through that with them, fill
Mm-hmm.
it out, and then loop us into the conversation so that everybody's on the same page with the timing, and where they're at in their journey with PTSD.
Okay.
Um, and then from there, moving forward, when we reopen the list, we will be setting it up in such a way that we'll only have a limited number of applications available to go out.
Mm-hmm.
um, we're going to put it on a quota system so that
Oh,
we're not onboarding more clients than we have dogs on the ground for the
oh, I see.
program.
Yeah.
So if I have 15 dogs on the ground earmarked for PTSD and they take 2 years to raise them up and train them,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll only onboard, say, 7 new
Mm-hmm.
clients.
Mm-hmm.
So that of that 10 dogs or whatever, we
Mm-hmm.
know that we are going to get 7 out of 10
Yeah.
out the door, and we'll be able to, that will reduce the wait time to
Mm.
18 months,
Oh, I
right?
see. Yeah.
So in those situations, working in partnership with the client and their mental health and their circle of support,
Mm-hmm.
we can ensure that when we do have a dog ready for them, they're still in a state of mind to be able
I see.
to go through the process, get the dog, and be successful.
So do you work with other organizations then to help you with the people coming through, or for the veterans, or?
Well, in terms of our decision making, it's usually just the clients and their mental health professionals.
Okay.
But no, we do work in concert. We were the first Assistance Dogs International accredited program in Canada to start a PTSD service dog program. And we've shared what we've learned over the last 10 years with programs across Canada. So BC Guide Dogs, Pacific Assistance Dogs out west.
Mm-hmm.
And we work in partnership with Wounded Warriors
Ah.
Canada and their Service Dog Collective as well.
Okay.
There's a group of half a dozen programs from coast to coast under the Wounded Warriors umbrella. Not all of them are ADI accredited, but
Oh, okay.
Wounded Warriors has their own screening process,
Okay.
and we all work collaboratively and share information and experience. And Wounded Warriors has an entire platform of services
Okay.
that are available to veterans, their families, and the Service Dog Project is just one of several of their programs.
Oh, I
So
see.
we're
So they
proud to
give
be part
can
of that.
I get it. So do they give them any financial help with that, or?
So yeah, Wounded Warriors sponsors the
Oh,
program,
I
so they
see.
help cover our costs for getting the dogs out into the hands of veterans and first responders.
Oh, okay.
But their other services, they have an equine therapy program,
Yep.
couples therapy program.
Mm-hmm.
They have programs for kids
Oh, cool.
who are part of a veteran's family.
Oh,
So they take a very holistic
they sure
family
do.
approach, and
Yeah.
they have their newest programs are in the first responders community. They do before operational stress training for first responders so they can learn to, engage with some self-care to help reduce the risk of them getting PTSD through
I
their
see.
work.
And
Hmm.
you've been working with first responders too? Do they have, like, you've placed dogs
Yep.
with them as well?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
And Wounded Warriors has actually supported 2 of our peer support dogs that are out with one's at Mississauga Fire and Emergency Services. And we just deployed a dog last month up to Sudbury's Emergency Services group with the help of Wounded Warriors. So
And what did they do? They stay.
um, those dogs are in a straight up peer support role.
Okay.
So they're there to do critical incident debriefs with the staff, peer support, and on an individual basis if needed. And once the program's up and running, they can do some preventative work, just have the dogs do visits. We've got dogs working with police services as well in a
Mm-hmm.
dual role, peer support and facility dogs for victim services. And our police, the dogs that we have in the police services, they'll pull double duty, so they'll help with victim interviews and things like that, but they'll also be available, so if an officer's on break and the dog's not, with somebody doing an interview, they can go and hang out and have a snuggle, decompress before
Yeah.
hitting the road again, right? So again, helping with the mental health on the fly during the course of the day
Is this the canine assisted
through the
intervention program?
interventions program. Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so the canine assisted intervention program is is doing what you said was peer support and facility dogs?
Yeah, so we actually, it's a multifaceted program.
Okay.
So we have a bunch of different types of facility dogs that go out the door. So we have our education facility dogs that are matched with social workers and are working in school boards across Ontario.
Oh,
Those dogs are utilized, like I said, by a social worker, usually at more than one school, and they will do critical incident debriefs for students if there's been, an issue, whether, somebody's passed away suddenly from an accident or
oh,
suicide. They'll bring the dog in for those talks with the kids around all of that. They do one-on-one counseling in the schools with the kids.
okay.
And again, if if the dog is at a particular school where they have office hours,
Mm-hmm.
they'll put a sign on the door saying, Holly's in, and the kids can come in just between classes and crash on the beanbag chair with her and have a snuggle,
Oh, wow.
catch their breath, reduce their anxiety, and then go back to class and be available for learning. So it's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's really amazing.
and then we have our justice facility
Yeah,
dogs. So
what's
those are the
that?
dogs working in victim services and in the justice department. So those are our courthouse dogs
Okay.
that are working with child witness programs like the London Family Courthouse, and here in our backyard with the child witness program in Kitchener.
Mm-hmm.
So the dogs will go in and they're with the kids as they navigate the justice system, right from their intake interviews
Mm-hmm.
to their forensic interviews with police. The dogs can go into the courtroom and be in the witness box with them while they
Oh my
give
God.
testimony if they have to go
Mm-hmm.
actually physically into the court.
Yeah.
And the dogs accompany them to the doctor's offices if they have to go in for physical exams as part of the evidence gathering. So the
Mm-hmm.
dogs can go with them.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, the dogs will be with them right through the entire process over the course of the year that they're engaged
Wow.
with the justice system.
Is there like a professional or something that goes with that dog?
Yeah, yeah. So for the
Okay.
justice facility dogs, they're working with the staff at the Child Witness Center or at the Victim Services Center.
Mm-hmm.
So those handlers are typically social workers
Okay.
trained in traumatic response
I
and
see.
the victim services work. And then our third type of facility dog is our peer support dogs,
Okay.
which are with emergency services, police in a peer support role.
Yeah.
And we have a dog going into a hospital, a local hospital,
Oh, like
as a peer support dog. So
for
that's
medical
just,
staff?
yep.
Oh,
hmm
and what did they
As
do?
part of their same as with the first responder community, they're there to support the frontline workers
Mm-hmm.
for critical incident debriefs and as part of their mental health program for staff.
So then how do these dogs, like who actually cares for these dogs? Like, takes them out for walks and feeds them and where do they
Mhm.
sleep and do they don't live at the facility, do they?
No,
No, okay.
no. So they're assigned primary and secondary handlers within
Okay.
the agency.
Ah,
So the primary and secondary handlers will swap off with the dog depending on who's on vacation and what have you. But the dogs typically work whatever their scheduled work day is,
mm-hmm.
and they're responsible for the day-to-day care, maintaining the training, and making sure the dog is available and up to speed for whoever they may need to hand the dog off to. So, in a situation like with victim services, if a child is in doing an interview, it's usually in a closed circuit television space, so the
Mm-hmm.
the children don't have to be in open court. They videotape their testimony.
Okay.
It's less traumatic for the
Yeah.
kids, but the dog will get up on the couch with them and snuggle with them while they're telling their story to the officer, and it's
Uh-huh.
being recorded.
Yeah.
So those officers have some level of training on how to manage the dog in that environment, but
Okay.
it's the primary and secondary handlers that are responsible for making sure the dog's behavior is always appropriate and they're ready to be in that environment appropriately.
So the primary and secondary handlers, are they also employees or members of that facility or the
Yes,
outside people?
typically.
Yeah,
Nope,
typically.
they're typically members of the service. Yeah. So we have dogs that are working with the victim service units of police departments.
Okay.
So if somebody came in after being involved in whatever and
Mm-hmm.
has to give their witness statement or their victim statement,
Mm-hmm.
they can be offered, would you like the dog to come in and help you? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times the dog will come in and they can sit with the dog and again tell their story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not always children.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
With the police department, with the
Yeah.
child witness programs, obviously
Yeah.
they're all the little ones, but in the police services, so in those cases we have dogs in Ottawa, Peterborough, Cornwall, and those dogs, like I said, they do primarily the victim services work and community outreach stuff.
Oh.
One of our dogs, West, he's up in Ottawa, and the bus accident they had a couple of years ago, they brought him out to not only support the officers that were on the
Mm.
scene that day, but for some of the community
Mm.
that were victims within that bus crash. And if you go on their social media page, you'll see the stories. There was a young lady, I think it's what, been 3 years? They just went past the anniversary of that accident. And there was a young lady with Down syndrome
Mm-hmm.
who was afraid to get back on the bus,
Mm.
but that was her means of, you know, navigating
Mm-hmm.
her community
Mm-hmm.
was through public transit. So they reconnected with her when she was ready, and West went with her for her first few bus rides to get
Oh.
her confidence back up and things like that.
Wow.
So, but that dog also provides peer support, right? Like, so if officers need him for critical incident debrief, they can bring the dog in to do that too.
That's
So it's
amazing.
kind of a dual role. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's
Hmm.
incredible. And
Yeah.
so and National Service Dogs is one of the first ones doing this in Canada or
No, on the
no?
canine assisted interventions program, especially the justice facility
Mm-hmm.
dogs, Pacific Assistance Dogs out west was the first.
Okay.
They're an ADI accredited program.
Mm-hmm.
And Caber just retired, but he was with the police service out in Vancouver for almost a decade, and he was really groundbreaking.
Oh.
And if you want more information, I can
Mm-hmm.
set you up because there's actually an organization. It's called Justice Facility Dogs Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and it was started by the teams that graduated through Pacific Assistance Dogs, and our teams are involved as well. And they're doing really good work just to try and raise awareness about how these dogs work and the benefits within the communities.
Mm-hmm.
And we all support each other and trying to create a network for traumatic response within the community as well.
I could see how some of your dogs that are coming through, maybe they're not, um, maybe they're not fitted to work in the autism program, but there's so many other things that you can now
Mm-hmm.
see if these dogs are going to either into the PTSD program or this is very, as you said, very multifaceted with the canine assisted intervention
Yeah.
program. Yeah, they might be definitely fits for them in there.
Actually, yeah, it's kind of funny because we have our autism dogs
Mm-hmm.
that they have to be low prey drive
Mm.
because you can't tether them to a child and have them chasing balls and
That's
squirrels.
right.
Um, our PTSD dogs, especially if the fellows the clients are more active, you want the dog that can keep up with that too. Maybe go to work with them
Hmm.
and be appropriate. So, and then we have our Eeyore dogs that are just like, I don't really want to work. I'm really awesome, but
Don't want
I'd rather sleep all day.
Yeah, I have one of
And
those.
yeah, and it's not that they just have a different energy level,
Hmm.
and it's like you'd be perfect
Yeah.
for facility because if they have to go into a CCTV room and do an hour's worth of testimony for court, the dogs
Hmm.
will just curl up, put their head in their lap, and go to sleep for an hour
That's
while
right.
the kids tell their stories.
Yeah.
And as long as the dogs are properly exercised, and that's the handler's
Yeah.
responsibility to make sure the dogs get the exercise they need so that when they are working their energy is appropriate. But some of them, that's just what they gravitate to. They're happiest
Yeah.
crawling into somebody's lap and just curling up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And some of them are very intuitive too.
Hmm.
You can put them in a room with a bunch of people for a debrief, and they'll go to the person who needs them the
Yeah.
most,
Yeah,
right?
I
They
could see
sense
that.
that anxiety and stress.
Yep.
um, so yeah, that dog tends to be a bit more sensitive, a bit
Mhm.
more laid back in their approach to what we call work.
Yeah.
And but I mean, it just, again, it gives you a better opportunity to make sure that you're putting a dog in a role that it's comfortable with and wants
Mhm.
to do, because it's like with people, if you love your dog, if you love your job, you don't work a day in your life,
Right.
type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So if we've done our training and our matching and our assessments properly, we're putting a dog into a working role that fits their personality and their capacity to work, to do the job, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a dog with higher energy that likes to be on the move might not appreciate having to be cooped up, you
Yeah.
know,
Lying on a
i-
couch. Yeah.
on a
Just being
couch for an
petted.
hour.
Yeah. Or sitting in a
They
witness
might,
box. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's tough.
exactly.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
could see that.
Yeah,
And
the
then,
biggest complaint we get in that front with the facility dogs is that they snore. They fall asleep, and it's like snoring in the courtroom is not really appropriate, but
oh,
you know.
well, it's a dog. It's okay. Uh,
They usually get a pass. The
yeah.
lawyers wouldn't get a pass, but the dogs usually get a pass.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see my dog doing that. He can snore up a storm and he'll just pass out. And I'm like, "Are you
Yeah,
narcoleptic or something?" Because he's just like, boom, he's asleep. Yeah, I could
yeah,
see that. That's amazing.
yeah.
There's so many things that these dogs are doing through your
Hmm.
organization. Absolutely incredible. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's evolving all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware. I know the hospitals usually engage volunteer programs for therapy dog programs to come
Mm-hmm.
in to talk to patients,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's St. John's Ambulance or
Mm-hmm.
other local therapy dog programs. But having a straight up peer support dog that is part of the staff
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
hospital is a new and emerging area as well,
I
right?
bet you they could have used them so much through this whole thing the last, you know,
Yeah.
2 years really.
Well, this is kind of how it came about.
Oh
We
yeah?
were at the hospital, just took some puppies in at a local hospital just to, because we've been asked by somebody to come in just to talk, to do a meet and greet with some kids
Mm-hmm.
that were patients.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd had a major incident where a number of folks had come into emergency, and it was a difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
And they came up to us and said, when you're done, can you come down to Emerge? Our staff really could do with
Oh,
some puppy love.
wow.
And yeah, and here we are.
Wow.
The-
I'm thinking
You
also
know,
too, like I mean, your doctors, your nurses, you're caring for people, um, and
mhm,
you go through surgeries that didn't go out the way they wanted them to be, and that's
yeah,
obviously the same thing, incredibly traumatic, and yeah, you could just need some time to decompress and sit there with someone who's absolutely an unconditional
yeah,
caring like that. That's
yeah,
amazing. Yep, I could see
yeah,
that.
and we yeah, I mean, the no matter how the trauma arises, it's trauma.
Mhm.
And with everything that's gone on with COVID,
Mhm.
those frontline hospital staff
Oh,
have had a very difficult time of it too, right?
you've seen the pictures of people just absolutely
Hmm.
devastated, medical staff.
Yeah, and the dogs aren't a cure-all, but they're
No.
just a piece of the puzzle that just, if it allows you to process
Mhm.
what you're experiencing a little bit better and reduces your risk of developing full-on PTSD,
Mhm. Mhm.
then it's a great resource. And
Mhm.
like with everything, it's not a great fit for everybody, but for the folks who can engage with it, and it is the catalyst for reducing your anxiety in
Mhm.
that moment,
Mhm.
and you're not taking it home with you and whatnot, then yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we say to
amazing.
our PTSD guys all the time, stay calm and walk the dog.
That's a good
But
one.
that translates into the first responder community too, right?
Yeah.
Like, if the dog is there, just go for a walk.
Mhm.
Nothing clears your head better than getting outside, take a dog for a walk, do some training exercise with the dog,
Mhm.
and catch your breath.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
helps you process.
Have any of the veterans have they continued, like, say, once their dog is retired, have they gone on to
Mhm.
a second dog at this point,
Yep.
or yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All our first dogs went out the door 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So their working life is typically 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we look to retire them by the time they're 10. We've actually got a huge cohort of dogs that are going through retirement right now that we have to replace. But it's the same with our autism program. Every family's different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's needs are different. So we have some folks coming back to us saying, no, we don't need a replacement dog. I'm in a super great headspace. I'm
Oh,
going to keep this dog through retirement, but I don't need the same supports in the community as I did 10 years ago.
right.
I'm in a different space.
Yeah.
Others are like, I absolutely will continue to need this dog
Yeah.
to be able to manage.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet the clients where they're at in conjunction with their mental health professionals
Mm-hmm.
and collectively, figure out what's best.
Man, you have so much work that you do.
Hmm.
Unbelievable. Between you have got so much going on, with everything. I know your staff's amazing there at National Service Dogs, because everything that you do is just incredible. It really is.
Hmm. We have a great team,
Yeah.
right? From the board on down to our volunteers and our staff. We have a really good team. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. I'm super proud of how everybody's come through the past year.
Mm-hmm.
Having to pivot last year, every time we thought we had it under control, it changed again.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of everybody for how they've come through the past year and a half. And COVID has actually created some really good stuff too. Like we used to do our team trainings. We used to bring people in for 7 or 8 days. They'd come in, we'd do lectures, we'd do like physical training with the dogs. They were exhausted by the end of
Mm.
the day. And, the lectures were great, but their minds were blown.
Mm.
And, you know, with being forced to go to an online learning situation
Mm-hmm.
and becoming proficient in Google and Zoom classrooms,
Yeah.
we've been able to develop our onboarding modules like around animal, like all that they get trained in animal health, accessibility,
Mm-hmm.
how do I fly with my dog, what do I do in these situations. All that learning is now happening before they even come and get the dog, so they can focus
Mm-hmm.
on whether it's animal health or accessibility or whatever. They can focus on the lecture
Mm-hmm.
and not be exhausted because they're still thinking about the training exercise we did 20 minutes earlier.
Right.
They through No matter where they are in the country, their circle of support can be in on those training
No,
sessions
that's right. Yeah, of
and get the
course.
same information, so that the flow of information can be challenging, for all the programs. So, if a parent with a child with autism comes in for class and then they take the dog home, there's usually a 2 or 3 week gap between when we can get out there to train their circle of support, their partner,
Mm-hmm.
and any grandparents or support workers that handle the child and the dog. Everything they learn they have to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the virtual classrooms, all those people can be in on that learning,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
then it's just the physical handling of the dog that we
Mm-hmm.
have to onboard them on, and they get it right from us, and there's no trickle down misinformation and all the rest of it.
Right.
So we're not going to change that moving forward. So the folks that are in class as we speak, they spent all of last week, an hour and a half to 2 hours a day every day last week, doing all their lectures,
Yeah. Okay.
so that when they hit the ground running, they had at least some level of visual in their head about what to expect.
Right.
They got to meet everybody they were coming to class with
Oh,
well
neat.
in advance,
Yeah.
because they're all in the same virtual class.
Yeah.
And I know for our PTSD clients,
Mm-hmm.
that was a huge bonus, because coming out of their comfort zone in their basement
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
coming to our training center and coming into an environment with a group of people they have never seen, met, or know,
Mm-hmm.
was huge anxiety. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hugely stressful.
Mm-hmm.
This way, everybody gets to see each other, they get to know each other. There's already that cohesive kind of, we're all part of the same team, we're going to go through this experience together. They can start drawing on each other for support
Mm-hmm.
because they have shared lived experience
Yep.
in a lot of cases. and then they can hit the ground running when they actually physically land here.
That's amazing. Interesting though,
Hmm.
because that creates that group, just like that fellow was saying that they all went together to war and they all came back,
Yeah,
and then, but that's
that's
not the way
right.
it is now. But
That's right.
that, what you're doing, does create that.
It does. And that has always been the offshoot benefit that when we started NSD 25 years ago this
Mm-hmm.
summer, that was one of the things that never occurred to us and we never thought about in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a huge ancillary benefit to all of our clients, like because our autism families are as isolated as some of these military families
Yeah.
for different reasons. But some of our parents, if they're not the parent that's out working in the community, some of our moms have been at home with their kids for 5 years and barely go out, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the kids can't manage.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them, the social isolation is no different than some of our veterans, right?
Right.
And then they come to class and they go through again this experience of team training with a whole bunch of other moms and dads in the exact same situation,
Yeah.
and that's their tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've, through the glory of social media, everybody can stay connected.
Yeah.
And COVID has just pushed that to the next level with the video conferencing
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And that's been the bonus in the last year and
Yeah.
a half. Is I don't know with some of our older clients if we would have gotten much of a buy-in on virtual classrooms if we tried to roll it out without the COVID pressures. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because it was
Yeah,
basically, this is the only way we're going to be able to do this, so you have to come on board, and so everybody knew,
yeah.
all right, I got to give it a try.
Well, that's
People,
exactly
yeah,
right. Right.
have to.
And we were doing virtual recertification tests.
Mm.
So, I did with one with a client out west.
Oh yeah.
His wife followed along with me on FaceTime Live on her phone, and
Cool.
I walked him through the cert test, asked him a bunch of questions, got the dog to do everything,
Yeah.
followed along on the phone,
Oh.
and they're like, "This is awesome! You don't need to fly all the way out here every year to do this.
Yeah.
Just yeah, we can do this. This is great."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're still going to come see you,
Yeah.
but if we but everybody's comfort level once they tried it is like, oh, this isn't so bad. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
And we now have the technology to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means that we can provide better service in real time for the folks, especially if they're across the country, if they're having a challenge or if the dog's, something's going on with the training and
Mm-hmm.
we can see it. Okay, look, show us,
Yeah,
put it
show
on your
me.
phone. We can watch in real time
Yeah, it's
and we
amazing.
can coach you over the phone.
That's
Um, and we have a buy-in from people on that now where,
uh-huh.
I think there would have been less of a buy-in if people hadn't got super comfortable with communicating that way
Yeah.
as a result of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
that's one thing that's come out of there. That's definitely a positive. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's worked really well. So how did your 25th anniversary go?
We are still celebrating
Oh,
it.
yay!
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, again, COVID.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
it's been lovely. We have some stories and stuff coming up between now and Christmas, but
Mm-hmm.
as one of the founders of NSD, it's been fun just to kind of sit back and take a long look back at the last 25 years and what we've learned and the
Yeah.
challenges and
How far you've come.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's amazing to think, it's evolved, as you pointed out earlier, from our autism program into so many other things,
Yeah.
and we're not done. And that's the fun part, right?
Yeah.
We just did our a strategic planning session last month, doing our visioning to 2025.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to give away the game, but
Yeah.
there's lots of new stuff coming too. And the fact that it can still be fresh and we can find new and meaningful ways to deliver services through our dogs is exciting.
Yeah,
So, mhm,
absolutely. And you've had to, same thing, you've had to roll with it to change your fundraising events to be more
yeah.
virtual, or, to fit with protocols. And again, that's been another challenge.
It has. We just did our haunted hunt on
Yeah, I
October
saw that.
31st. That was our pivot from our Easter egg hunt for dogs.
Yeah.
And we did, hey, but we were out there hunting for eggs on Sunday, where last year we got shut down again. And we did a drive-through event where we were just tossing prizes through people's car windows and taking their money and
Yeah.
saying thank you for supporting us.
Right.
So this year we made them run around in the mud and pick up eggs and do it the proper way.
Right.
And I don't have the final totals for that, but it's about $20,000.
Oh, that's
But
amazing.
yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's COVID, and
Yeah.
we're very grateful for all our volunteers and our supporters who came out and kept the dream alive for our egg hunt.
Yeah.
But we'll be back April 15th, Good Friday.
Doing it again.
Uh, well, I
Maybe
can't
not.
wait. Yeah, well, my family and I have been doing the one in Oakville, Burlington, Hamilton area
Mm-hmm.
for 24
Oh
years.
my.
And it was weird not to do it last year. It was depressing not to do it this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an interesting dynamic because, on October 31st, people have stuff to do. They got kids to get ready for Halloween and shopping. But on Good Friday, we do it every Good Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's off. There's
Oh yeah.
nothing's open.
Yeah.
You got to come to the hunt. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to normal on that front. But we have a lot of rebuilding to do. It's been 2 years since
Yeah.
that event has rolled. And what was interesting coming out of Sunday was half the participants were brand new to the event. They'd never done it before,
Oh,
which
wow.
which surprised me. I would have thought it would have been our diehard Easter egg
Yeah.
hunters that would have come out, and we had some of them, but half of the folks that came were new to the event,
That's a
and
one.
we're excited to come out again next spring.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, well, every charity and a lot of work, well, even companies like yours are having to go through that whole rebuilding
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
right? Just to get back
Everybody's,
to
yep.
normal.
It's a constant evolving. It's a constant
Hmm.
way to try and figure out new ways, and and as you said, some of these things are going to stick with you because they work very well. So yeah, you take your positives where you can, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I know you've been pretty clever at reinventing your events over the last little bit. Really
We
clever.
yeah, yeah, we've had to be. Well, we did our first we had to cancel our motorcycle ride again this summer, so that's 2 years for that event. So we pivoted like many to like an online. We did pause in motion. So it was a virtual move where you are however you want, and there's prizes for the most kilometers traveled and all the rest of it. But we had a great buy-in from folks from across Canada. We raised over $40,000 for that event,
Whoa.
and it was, like I said, a last minute pivot again. We had 6 weeks to get it organized,
Mm-hmm.
and my team did a great job of pulling together all the virtual pieces.
Yeah.
And we had a ton of fun. I've lost 40 pounds. I'm thrilled.
Are you
I've
kidding?
I've I've been counting my kilometers since
No,
May.
that's
Um,
amazing.
hey, whatever
Wow.
it takes to motivate you to get your butt in gear.
Yeah.
But um,
Oh my God.
I'm all ready for next year.
Yeah.
I've already got my co-competitors. We've already planned what we're going to do. Um, it's in southwestern Ontario here, but there's a trail, the Godrich to Guelph Trail,
Oh yeah. Wow.
and we've committed that we're going to walk from Godrich to Guelph over the course of a few hikes.
Wow.
Kind of like the Bruce Trail. You have to do that once in
Yes.
your life too. Yeah,
Yes.
that's another goal, is to do the Bruce Trail
Yeah. Well, I've got,
sections at a time.
let me see, one, two, I've got about three or four entrances to the Bruce Trail right around me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's, but I know some people, that's a big trail. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be great. You're taking your dogs? Of
Absolutely. Don't go
course.
without the dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but with pause in motion, it was great to see. Like I said, we had buy-in from people across the country,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have to be in Kitchener or Cambridge to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to tweak it for next year, so that we'll have different divisions for the cyclists in the group, the walkers and the runners. One of our top money raiser, she's into CrossFit and heavy
Mm-hmm.
lifting. She
Mm-hmm.
she lifted, I think it was 150,000 kilos over the course of two
Oh my
months
God.
as part of her goal.
Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get the motorcycle ride in under that and have just a category for the motorcycle clubs
Okay.
to come out and do their thing under the umbrella of Paws in Motion as
That's
well.
awesome. Love it.
Hmm.
That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm
So we'll get there.
so glad you came. What an amazing and absolute pleasure it is talking with you today. I really wanted to have you back so we could talk about the PTSD service dogs and also your canine assisted intervention program. They're amazing. And I think, very apt at this time of year. So I'm really glad you were able to come on and take the time and let everyone know about these amazing and incredibly valuable programs that you do at National Service Dogs.
Well, thank you for providing the platform. We appreciate it. The podcasts are awesome,
Oh,
and
thank you.
our team has enjoyed them.
Aw.
We've made a couple of them required listening for our dog stuff, some of the dog stuff that's in there. So
Really?
yeah, we've added them to our list of resources for staff
That's
and volunteer training.
awesome.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. Well, part of them is the last one I did with you because it was a nice overview of
Yeah,
the program,
it was really good.
and my development manager, she's like, I'm going to make everybody listen
Listen
to
to
that.
this.
This one might get added to the list too, but no, we really appreciate it. And I mean, anything we can do to shine the light on and support our veterans and first
Yes.
responders. It's like you said, with November 11th coming up and Remembrance Day, it's timely. They may leave their service, but the PTSD and the operational stress injuries don't go away that quickly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to hopefully talk again.
That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks again,
Thanks so
Danielle.
much, Val.
Okay.
Have a good one. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to Val Talks Pets. Please remember to follow or subscribe to ensure that you never miss an episode. To really help the show and to make it easier for others to find, please rate and review each episode that you find interesting and helpful. And don't forget that you can also email me at val@valtalkspets.com with topics you would like me to address or with any questions you may have. Also, check out my website at valtalkspets.com and let me know what you think and how we can improve upon it. Thanks for caring.